Welcome to Electripreneur Secrets, the Electrician podcast. We're here 5 days a week to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. I'm your host, Clay Newmeyer. With me, as always, my esteemed co-host and partner, Joseph the Salesbot Lucani. We took a break yesterday from calling you the Salesbot.
You did.
And there was a conversation prior to the show, which I poured my heart out to let you know why. But during yesterday's show, I did not explain why. Joseph, you are the most heart-centered person I've ever met and worked with. Every time we're in a call with people, on a meeting, on a podcast, I've never seen you fall short of aiming to your absolute potential of your ability to serve someone. So there's nothing robotic about that. You're all heart, brother. That's why I said that.
Well, it means the world. Honestly, having someone like you that I get to work with and that I get to share my talents with all the electricians that we talk to, I couldn't have asked for a better dream. You know, this is where I really feel like I'm living the life that I've always wanted to live.
Love it. Love it. So today, Optional Friday, we got some great stuff for the listeners, for the viewers. If you're not with us live in the Facebook group yet, on the Electripreneur Secrets Facebook group, where you can engage with us, share your wins, even ask questions and get help with your options and objections, you might want to join. It's a pretty big deal in here. I want to thank all of our VIP engagement and listeners that are in that group already, and welcome those that aren't. What are we talking about today, this Optional Friday, Joseph?
You already know. When I'm rubbing my hands together, take a wild guess what we're talking about.
We're doing generators. More portable gens, right?
That's what we're doing.
All right. Let's give these guys something they can put to work today.
I'm going to do one better. I'm going to give you guys that if you take action on this, not only will you start to dominate your generator market, but you're going to start becoming more differentiating than any of your competition, therefore making you the safe bet in every opportunity. So the thing about this, can I just jump into it? I'm like,
froth. Go for it, man.
Go. All right.
Go right in.
Oh boy. So the thing that I found that really blew my mind was that not enough people get into portable generators, right? There's some where they're just like, oh, I know what we're going to do. We want to just do automatic, or we're going to offer an interlock. And there's very rarely anything in between. Now, last time we talked about the home link, the transfer switch that allowed to bridge that gap between interlock and automatic. But there are so many enhancements that you can offer, and a lot of them aren't stuff that you can buy. There's actually just services that you can perform. And that's what I feel is going to be really, really important. Now, the first thing you have to consider is who is going to be using this generator, right? It's not enough just to say, I'm going to give you a generator. It's now you have to walk through and say, if this customer was going to have to use it, what would that experience for them be like? So the first thing that we have to take in consideration is what time of day would it be? A lot of times if they're using their portable generators, I mean, do they usually have lights around the house when their power's off? No. Of course not. If they did, they wouldn't have a generator in the first place, right?
Definitely.
So something that I found was extremely helpful was imagining if I was in that customer's home and power was lost at 12 o'clock at night, what would they do? Technically, the picture that people have is they have a guy holding a flashlight, going to this transfer switch and lowering the breakers down, and it works. Why should your customers ever have to own a freaking flashlight? We're electricians. We should be giving them power every opportunity we can. So there's actually something that I took from commercial experience that we were able to bring into resident, and that's automatic emergency backup lighting. Now, imagine this scenario instead. Customer loses power, but they're still at home, and they know that their panel is in the downstairs basement. Normally, they would have to go downstairs with a flashlight, hugging onto one railing, going all the way there. If their basement's crowded, they have to walk around things, find a path, get to there. Then they have to remember how to use it, all by flashlight, all with one hand.
Don't forget all the things they stored in front of the panel.
Oh, naturally. Oh, yeah. People who say 3-foot clearing space, it's like, come on. Have you ever worked in a house before? Like, there's no 3-foot clearance space.
In Canada, we call that a meter, by the way.
Oh,
a meter of space you need. Yeah, working area.
Well, question: do you need a meter of space in front of your meter?
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So there we
We
go.
just call it a
That's
meter
fine.
squared.
All right. There you go. I got my meter squared. We're good. So going back into this, the question that we'd have is you can install automatic or emergency backup lighting that would kick up in different intervals as your pathway. So code requires, and I don't like the word code, but sometimes code can be in our benefit too. The code requires that we have to have a light and a service outlet next to your panel, right? That's something that has to happen. But what's stopping us from making that light an automatic backup light? So when the customer loses power, it automatically kicks on. And now you walk towards the panel and you don't need your flashlight anymore. There was actually a lot of times where we would sell these packages where we would say, we give you runway level protection, to where what we would do is we would actually install these backup lights where the customer would have to go. So it would be at the top of the basement stairs, at the bottom of the basement stairs, and then anything in between from the basement stairs to your panel. Can you imagine someone not wanting this?
Well, not really, no. And one of the things we've touched on this before, but I'll say it again and again and again. We know that a big barrier electricians face in creating options is getting stuck in tech brain.
Yeah.
We get stuck in technical brain, in code brain, in what am I looking for? In material brain, even.
Trade
All I
drawing.
can think of for options is swapping materials. But as soon as we get out of that and go into homeowner brain, all of a sudden we start seeing all these other needs that aren't being met. And not just your standard, like, it's not a big deal kind of needs. I mean, needs that after you left, they would likely lie awake in bed at night thinking about this stuff at some point, going, we should have thought of that. And when we're stuck in tech brain, we're just not able to help them with that.
You're completely right.
Go ahead.
And
sorry.
No, by any means, I was the one who interrupted you, man. I should apologize.
Quit it then. Quit it.
All right, there you go. So the thing is that I've actually heard some customers say that, where they're like, man, you know what, man, after this was done, I don't even know. I can't even believe that you offered it, because as soon as you offered it, I was like, yeah, I need that. So the thing is that this not only helps your customer from a convenience standpoint, but it also helps them from a safety standpoint. Because if they were going to walk down the stairs and then trip, now they have no power and they're sitting at the bottom of the stairs. Not a fun place to be, right?
No.
All right. So that's for backup lighting. But that's not the only thing we're going to talk about. Now, another thing that comes with portable generators is people steal them. They do. One of the biggest things that happened was during Hurricane Sandy, at least in New York, this was very common because we got destroyed between New Jersey and New York. There was a lot of circumstances to where thieves would come with a trailer and cheap motors, whether it was lawn mowers, snow blowers, leaf blowers, didn't matter what it was. What they would do is they would park the trailer in your driveway at night when your generator was running, because they can hear it. So all they had to do was just follow where the buzzing noise was. They would park the trailer in the driveway. They'd start the lawnmower. They'd then turn off your generator, wheel it into your trailer, and drive. Because it was 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, the odds were you were asleep. So you wouldn't have noticed. And if you lost power, you'd be like, I hear the generator running. You know what? Probably low on gas. And then you come downstairs and have an old motor in there.
It's actually brilliant execution on their part.
It is.
I'm slightly mad and impressed at the same time. The lawnmower touch is nice. But how shitty is that to lose your portable generator now? It's
heartbreaking for a lot of people, because the generators aren't cheap. They're really not. I mean, like you can go to Harbor Freight and you could buy a $500, Predator generator. Like, they exist, but no one's really going to complain about stealing those. The people that's going to be upset is when they bought the XP Generac for $2,600, and they're like, oh yeah, I bought the best one for all the compatibilities, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
So what we did is we actually thought of something here, and we would call them anti-theft anchor points. What we would do is we would drill down to get a Homer bucket, those Home Depot buckets. They're about 2 feet by 1 foot. And we'd bury it about 2 to 3 feet in the ground. Then we would actually have a metal rebar hook, like a circular hook that would go into it that would stick out of the ground. We would fill the hole and the bucket with cement. So now the customer only sees one little loop. It's a very small loop. And you can choose anything. It doesn't have to be rebar. You can use stainless steel. You can do other things to make it look better. But now you have an anchor point. What you would do is you would have your inlet where the generator gets plugged into. And then right around this location, you install this anchor point. So when the customer wheels their generator out and they plug the generator into the inlet, all they'd have to do is take a bike lock or a chain and they loop it through the anti-theft anchor point. And now it's one level of preventative service. The thing about a thief is this: a thief, for the most part, doesn't want to be challenged. The thought is, I'm willing to steal something from you as long as there's minimal risk to me.
Path
So
least
even if they
resistance.
show, yeah, no, you're right. So even if they go and they find out, oh, he got a bike lock, and all it would take is just a pair of bolt cutters, maybe they didn't have a pair of bolt cutters. But I see next door, I could take the neighbor's generator. So screw it, I'll just go and take his generator instead. Deterrents are the way to do it. It's like the difference of you have a locked door compared to a gun behind it.
We
Right?
actually talked about this yesterday. When you recommended, hey, on opportunity calls, we believe in a 2-call close. The reason why people don't default to that is because of the additional time and effort. Everyone wants money today, electricians and thieves alike. I would like to retract that statement and pretend I never compared electricians to thieves. The joys of doing a podcast live. But seriously, think about this, right? We're all wired the same. It's an opportunity for theft as well. And if it's easy, and I'm looking around and the conditions are right, I mean, put yourself in those shoes for a minute. It only makes sense to go for the easy. They don't want to do a 2-call, right? And the stuff you see on the movies where people plan it, and
it's not a heist.
It's a different level of sophistication.
You're not
Anyways,
wrong.
didn't want to interrupt you there, but I had to put those 2 cents in and say something regrettable on the podcast this week. So
once again, if anyone should ever apologize for interrupting, it is me 100%. It is a problem I have. I know I have this problem. I try to fix it, and I appreciate your patience with it.
Cheers. All right. So we got the anti-theft anchor.
Okay.
What's the next level here?
We got battery backup lighting, anti-theft anchors. Now, the next 2 things are things that people may not think about even further. Because how many times do people think about providing the generator for your customer? A lot of times we don't. In some circumstances, they say, oh, they already have one. And you go there and you see it doesn't even have wheels. Like it's just barely assembled. It's an old generator on like a rolling dolly. And we're like, yep, that checks out. We have no issue with this whatsoever. Or Gladys, the little old lady on the block, she's got a pull start generator, but she's got arthritis.
Right.
Like, what is wrong with us? Why are we okay making this customer pay all this money for the interlock or the home link or all the additional services, but then they can't use it when they need it? Or even further, are your competitors even considering offering it? So there are different enhancements in the portable generator that you should be looking out for. And I'd like to talk about some of them now. There are dual fuel generator systems that run on propane barbecue tanks. The reason why that would be beneficial is gasoline breaks down over the course of 2 to 3 years unless you add stabilizer to it. Propane doesn't. Propane does not break down. And as a result, you'll always need it if you have a barbecue tank. So the fact is that you could store about 5 containers of propane inside your house with less risk than you could storing 5 5-gallon containers of gasoline. It makes sense. And the thing is, it's less volatile in different temperatures too.
Yeah.
Like if you have sun directly hitting gasoline, that vapor is going to expand. And if it blows, it's a serious problem.
Yeah.
Whereas the propane is in a solid steel container. Plus, it's a cleaner burning fuel. So you actually get more kilowatts out of it than you would with other base fuels. So the first thing to think of is what kind of fuel is it going to use and how is the customer going to store it? If they're going to be out for 3 days, they need to have these things stored. So your 2 directions are either A, set them up with a dual fuel generator, Or B, if they're going to stick with gasoline, you can actually provide them a pump, a physical, storable, containable pump, where you can store up to 25 gallons of gasoline into it. It physically has a manual pump that comes out. You add stabilizer to it as necessary. And as long as it's local to where your generator would have been, you can even put that on a dolly, wheel that outside, pump into your generator as necessary, wheel it back inside. Think for your customers. Think about the things they're going to have to need. They need to fuel it. Why aren't we thinking of it for them? Right? Next is you think to yourself, how are they going to operate it? Once again, how many people are using the pull chart? Whenever we think portable, we think, oh, better have a good shoulder. But did you know that they actually have remote controlled portable generators now too? Where literally all you can do is, let me walk you through this. Imagine you have a storm that you know is getting ready to come, right? I mean, that happened during Sandy. Everyone was ready for it. It was a weekend. We were like, all right, everyone be ready, be on call. We're getting a bad one. Those kind of customers could have taken this portable generator, wheeled it outside, plugged it into the inlet, connected it to the anti-theft anchor, and had the key fob ready. Then all they would need to do is when they lose power, press on. They wouldn't even have to leave, step outside. The generator would automatically come on once it receives the code. You go downstairs to your panel, press on the home link, 2 buttons, and they have operation. That sounds pretty damn close to an automatic, if you ask me.
Absolutely. And if you haven't heard that in fuller detail on our episode 2 weeks ago today, we did that home link focused episode and you discussed that in full. So yeah, huge convenience factor. Makes perfect sense.
In addition to it, then, when you think about the generator, now you also have to go by and say, well, why not do electric start? I mean, electric start's the easiest possible middle ground. I mean, not everyone can afford the remote control options, but you can almost always have a generator that has an electric start. By allowing them to do that, what you're doing is you're saying you won't have to pull start this thing. That's only available in the backup and in case of emergency. But as long as you keep the battery charged, all you'll have to do is on. That's not a bad thing to do for a lot of your customers. Sometimes your customer won't want to buy the portable generator because they've been told all the propaganda from all their neighbors of how terrible they are. Oh, it's cold. You'll have to go outside and rip the cord and you got to turn breakers on and off. That's what your competitors are describing to them too. If you can describe a turnkey solution to where you do everything and they do nothing, you become the safe bet and they'll go to you exclusively. And who doesn't want to be the exclusive person, right?
I do.
All right.
Just being honest, I want to be exclusive. Absolutely. You want to instead, fully apart from your competitors. Apples to oranges, as we say.
Exactly. In addition, there's even more things we can do on these enhancements. So the next thought then comes down to is, where is your generator located? Where are they going to power it, right? Sometimes the typical contractor, I'm not going to say the handyman, but a typical electrical contractor says, I know, I do generators. I've got an interlock on the panel, and right on the opposite side of the panel, I'm going to put my 30 amp inlet. And you know what? You'd be better than the average person because some people aren't doing it at all. But now walk through what your customer has to do. If they lose power, they now are taking this 200 to 300 pound unit. If it's raining, they're now dragging it through the mud to get to wherever that location is. Or if it's snowing, they've got a shovel to get it to where it is. Or if it's icy, they're dragging something and slip and hurt themselves. Does that seem like an ideal thing to do?
No, it doesn't. Sounds like a terrible experience.
Yeah, it would be. It really would be. So the thing is that what we can do is we always put the inlet where the generator is going to be stored, at least as an option. The reason being is that at the very bottom of our choices, this is you do everything. I'm just providing the material and the bare minimum electrical connections. On the higher end, we are providing a complete white glove turnkey experience where you do nothing, we do everything, you just have to write the check. So let's go into that a little bit further because there's still so much more we could do. Why aren't we tuning up portable generators? Why are we not offering that? We would offer it if it was an automatic, right? We know that the system needs to be tuned up. It needs its oil change. It needs its spark plugs. But what do we usually tell our customers to do? Oh, just bring it to your local engine shop. Okay, so they're going to take this generator that weighs 200 pounds, the strongest of you. Are you taking a 300-pound generator, lifting it up and putting it in the back of bed of your car? You might. I'm not arguing. Some of you are pretty damn strong. But are your customers equally as strong? How are they going to get it into their car? Do they even have a car compatible with transferring a generator?
It's a door. It's an opportunity. You want to lock clients in anyway, right? This is the inherent risk with service work that people feel there is anyway, before ever understanding this industry. Home service electricians, right? Because it makes perfect sense. After I'm done installing that receptacle, what's the next service that's required on it?
Yeah. I mean,
10, 15, 20 years, if ever. We
Mhm.
have to be thinking outside the box on this stuff. And this is yet another area of strength and opportunity for you to maintain prolonged engagements with and create lifetime customer value.
Correct. Beautifully said. So, painting the picture a little bit further, let's look at this from, as you like to say, the 30,000-foot view, right? So, you have a customer in the perfect scenario. They've purchased, they said, you know what, we want to get an automatic, but we can't. It's $25,000. I can't swing that right now, right? Not a problem. But they still need power. They still have a sump pump that goes out. They still have a well that goes out. They still have a fridge that needs to be powered. They need heat in the winter. Okay. So you set your customer up with a portable generator. You have your home link transfer switch, and you have the inlet where it's powered directly where the generator needs to go. You have all your emergency backup lighting so the customer can easily see how to access it. They have their anti-theft anchor point so that no one can steal it. And now what you're doing is now you're offering to maintain it for them. This could continue, this relationship could continue for several years before either A, the generator eventually is going to wear out, like all mechanical things do, or until they can get the funds to upgrade to an automatic. Either way, in any of these circumstances, this still works in our favor. Because if you put in the home link, unless you're intimately familiar with it, you're probably not going to have a competitor say, oh, yeah, I'm willing to work off someone else's work and install an automatic. So if the customer ever wanted it, you're already halfway through the installation. You're more likely to lock in. But even if they don't want to upgrade to automatic, you have the ability of contacting them as a maintenance customer. When you have a maintenance customer, you now have the right to check in with them on a regular basis. So imagine this level of service. You're getting ready for a major storm, and you contact your customer in advance and say, hey, Clay, I know that you were actually planning on getting a hurricane this weekend. It may or may not hit. We're not quite sure yet. But I wanted to just check in and see if you were looking for us to come and just get it ready and tune it up before. Would that be something you'd be open to? Or would it be wrong of me to want to make sure you were protected before the storm comes?
Absolutely. If we're expecting something, why wouldn't we?
Yeah. So even if the customer hasn't purchased a maintenance agreement, you have the ability of having a maintenance agreement set up, or you can offer them and you would actually be like, wow, this company really cares. They're really thinking about me. I'm important. Taking this even further, imagine this is a first class customer. Imagine they're a club member. And now you say, hey, as a first class member, you're actually included in our storm watch, meaning that whenever we have these major power outages happening, we're going to make sure that all the first class members get notified in advance, and they're going to be the ones that get access during the storms if they need it. Now, just by offering a generator maintenance, we're actually also enhancing our club membership.
Yep, giving them some assurance. And if you're like Rob in our Facebook group feeling like, hey, I wouldn't want to service generators, not my own and not my customers. I hate doing mechanical work passionately. What would you say to that, Joseph?
I would say I agree with him. I don't blame him. In all honesty, Rob, I'm speaking directly to you, man. We're in the same boat. I don't want to tune up a snowblower. I don't want to tune up a generator. But that's exactly why we have to. Because if you don't do it, who is? Someone has to tune this thing up. And the thing is, you can charge a premium for it. Not saying you should overcharge by any means, but you can charge what your time is worth. And if you're saying, you know what, it's $300 an hour for me to come out and do something, then charge your $300 an hour to do it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't, your customer is either A, going to have to do it themselves, and they may or may not do it right. I mean, just in the oil base itself. I mean, if they put in the wrong oil, not even like, let's say it's 10W30 versus 0W20. Suddenly now you've got a difference of what temperature this engine's going to be compatible for. So if you want to make sure it's ready for the cold, you've got to treat it for the cold. If you're not frequently firing it up and it's run with gasoline, you know the carburetors are going to get gummed up. It just has to happen unless it gets flushed on a regular basis. So you have to be the one who does it. Otherwise, someone else will. And when they do, that relationship now belongs to them instead of with you.
I want to add to that because this is actually a common theme, especially as we begin to embrace service at the highest level. Mm-hmm. If your platinum options are consistently going to mean that all they have to do is sign the check, everything's taken care of. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's always collateral consequence to our work. We're always in and out of drywall, right? We're always adding systems. If you're offering generators, you're always going to have these systems to be serviced. Mm-hmm. And there's a dozen other examples we could come up with. In fact, this should be its own podcast episode because what I'm about to drop like a hot freaking bomb here is, shouldn't we all have that relationship in-house? Someone who can handle that stuff for us, whether it's third party, 1099ing someone, W-2, I don't care how you do it. Everyone craps on the handyman, yet it seems like we all need one.
Mm-hmm. Believe it or not. Remember the story that I came up with where I described when we did our door hanger campaign that one customer ended up delivering and he was over 30,000?
Yep.
That customer specifically said, when I asked, why didn't you call the other company back in the first place? He's like, they don't maintain them. They just install them. They don't service them. As a result, if that customer was a serviced customer, I would have never had the opportunity to work with them. How many opportunities are we missing by saying, yeah, I don't want to tune up a portable generator, but every time you go to that customer's house, you have the opportunity to look at their panel. You have the opportunity to do a load test. And as a result of doing a load test, you have permission to go through their house. So you have the more opportunities to go through the home, to interact with them, to see when they need you most. You're going to find other opportunities to help them. Doesn't mean we're looking for problems, but we're looking for ways to solve them before they happen. And the only way to do that is be front and center with the customer more often than not. Convenience sells. Amen.
Yeah, if you can provide all of that in a time frame that works for them and their desired time frame, mm-hmm. and the probability of success, in other words, the risk of using you as a service provider is low, mm-hmm. then the sale is yours to mess up.
Exactly. Now, there are actually some other enhancements that I have, but I don't want to take too much time. Do we have a little more time for one more?
We're down to like our last few minutes here.
All right, then I can always save them for another time then.
Okay. You don't want to cram anything else in there? A few minutes isn't enough?
I'll screw it. I'll give it a shot. All right. So the one last thing that comes to mind is surge protection. Now, I know you guys are thinking, okay, like everyone does surge protection, but are you doing it the right way for a portable? The reason why is this. When you have a portable generator, really what you're doing is you're taking the most essential circuits and you're transferring them to another panel, right? If you have a whole home surge protector, normally it's connected to the main utility, right? It's in that main panel. But when you switch to manual, suddenly it's a completely derived system. Now that system no longer has surge protection. And it no longer has surge protection and is being powered by something that may not have stable frequency. I mean, portable generators are different. They're not like automatics. They don't have to stay at 65 hertz. Mm-hmm. They have a fluctuation of going from 60 to 68, I believe, is the top that they're going to be going at. I don't think it goes full of 70, but I know it goes 60 to I think 68 is what an acceptable portable would be. Now, If you have any phase sensitive equipment, now you have an issue there. Or if you ever had the generator itself spike or drop, it's not protected. So an extra enhancement you can do is to say, not only are we installing an electronic safety system for your main panel, we're installing a secondary for your transfer system. That way, all the essential circuits are protected. And then if the customer doesn't want two surge protectors, that's okay too. But if you're going to install it in the MTS. That way, at the very minimum, you can justify to your customer and say, all the things that you've considered to be the absolute most important, the things that you said that you needed in case of an absolute emergency, those are the things that we're going to make sure get protected. Can you blame me for wanting to make sure that those things had safety on them?
No.
Or that they wouldn't be risked?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I wanted to just tap on that last thing about surge protectors. I know that some people are, I know some people are in may not think they're the most valuable thing in the world, but where you place them becomes very, very valuable.
Makes a lot of sense, man. Well, thank you for that, the great shares today. I think you just gave a ton of value away. One question that comes to mind for the absolute newbie to this, to offering portable generators at all, is how do I begin to identify if my client might want a portable generator or need one?
I love that. That's a great question.
And we can tie this right into the action because it's a starting place that anyone can take.
You're completely right. So the thing is that we say a quote that happens a lot, and I'm sure everyone has heard it before, is that you miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take. Like every single shot that you do not shoot, you will not make. So when you say, how do I know if my customer would want it? Offer it. When we design what we do, we offer on premium, mid-range, and economy levels of options, right? What's stopping you from saying my top option is a home link with an easily connected inlet right where the generator is going to be stored? My option 2 is just going to be a basic interlock with the inlet right behind where the panel is going to be. And then the other options beneath are whatever you would have charged anywhere, whatever you would have offered in the beginning. There's no risk to you whatsoever by offering them, but there's only upside because it shows that you truly care about the customer and you can be in their shoes enough to support them with it.
I love that for sure. At least if you take that approach, you're going to certainly offer it to every customer. As we've talked about before, one of the benefits of the 6 options is getting to that platinum, the best of the best, right? So doubling down on opportunity, really. Across every business and every market, we should all have a VIP offer. Because again, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you don't have it, you can't sell it. So for you, what is that $10,000? What is that $20,000? What is that $30,000 offer? Adding a portable generator doesn't sound like a bad idea to me.
And if you think about the numbers of what goes into it, let's say we were providing the generator, right? And you have all the costs associated with that, as well as the labor of assembling it and shipping it. You have all these enhancements of now a new MTS with the inlet, as well as now an anchor, anti-theft anchor, the battery backup lighting, the dual surge protectors, the remote starts, the electric starts, like all these things, the yearly maintenance. Doesn't that sound like a hell of a top option?
Absolutely. It's massive.
There's a lot of value left on the table, guys. And I want to make sure that we do everything we can to not only benefit your customers' lives, but also benefit you, the electrician, who's going to be in place to serve those customers.
All right. So we got a ton of options today. First action really is just offering it. Make sure that you put it out there so that someone can buy it. What's the all-star action here to really see this thing take off?
The all-star action, and this might feel like a little bit of a financial investment, but the all-star action is install it in your own house. And the reason why that's so important is if you can tell a customer, this is the one I did for my house, doesn't that hold a little bit more weight? Or even better, you can actually take a video of yourself operating it. Or if you want to make it even further, ask your grandma to operate it. You take a video of it. Have your wife do it or your spouse. Have that person operate. You just record. You can say, listen, this is the simplest easiest system you can operate. I wanted it for my family, and I felt that yours deserved it too. And that's why I'm offering it. That's my because reason, because I felt your family deserved it.
I
Wouldn't
love
that
it.
be a heavy hitting objection handle right there?
Absolutely. When it comes to organic marketing, something we talk about so often is in your business, like let's say Facebook, for example, not just having a business page, but having a personal page. And in your Facebook local networks, reaching out, being part of the conversations, being friendly and adding friends all the time. Like
Mhm.
giving you something right from our playbook. Don't listen to what we say, watch what we do, right? There's a good chance that we've added you as a friend already if you're listening or watching this right now, and established a relationship over time. And as people that you know, like, trust, or friends with, and you view, hey, this good person runs an electrical company. I know that from talking to them a couple times. And now I'm seeing what they're installing in their home, not what they're offering, not what he's trying to form a discount on or some sort of promotion that's going to cause me to buy. He's just showing me for a purpose of drip education, for the purpose of showing a marketplace what can be done. And when I see the guy that runs the company doing it, I mean, he must know a thing or two that I don't.
Mhm.
Doesn't that come across that way?
It really does.
What
It
are the
really, really
chances people start putting their hands up and just say, hey, kind of interested in what you did there? Can you tell me a bit more?
could definitely see that happening. And why wouldn't it, right?
100%. I love this. Okay, guys, I I'm so confident that today, once again, we fulfilled our mission. Going live here 5 days a week on Electripreneur Secrets to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. If you guys have any questions or concerns, anything on the inside, join us in our Facebook group. Again, Electripreneur Secrets, the Electrician podcast, searchable there on Facebook so you can find us, reach out, add us as friends, and see some of the very things we're putting to use in our business as well. Cheers to your
Look forward,
success.
look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Bye bye.